Hey everybody. So this is my second try at Restream and welcome to the show. My name is Ann Cecil and this is the RoxAnneLava Monday Mission. So I'm still working with the Restream. I'm not sure that my share actually worked and I'm going to need to share again. So we're going to give it a go and see how that goes. But today my topic is actually from a solopreneur. This is the first week of February. It's day 1 of February. And for me, that means a tremendous amount of marketing goes on. So here I am from the studio because I really wanted to talk to you a little bit about what I do in marketing, show you what I do, explain to you what tools I use and why. And we're going to try to cover at least 3 things this session. So the first thing that I want to tell you is that I am also a merchandising and marketing professional. I have over 40 years of experience in the lifestyle and fashion industry. And so I do actually also have a consultancy, and I work with a small companies, independent manufacturers, independent makers, independent sellers. I do a lot of work with independent retailers. And so I have a great deal of experience in terms of being a solopreneur. But what is also really, really funny is that even as my own business person, sometimes it's so much easier to identify problems in other people's businesses than it is in my own. And so I think I may have told you all that I am actually in year 4 of my business, and this is yet another year of pivoting. So let me just tell you a little bit about my business, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about what I've found in terms of tools and skills that solopreneurs and even any independents are going to need in order to succeed post-COVID-19. So my business is really about handmade to order, customized shoes. As we talked about last week, shoes are built around a last, and so there's a lot of involvement in purchasing a last. A last dictates the shoe you can sell and the size of the shoe that you can sell. So there's a huge amount of investment in materials in order to be a shoemaker. All of those elements have to be stored, so you have to keep them around. So I can't make a product that is easy to manufacture at a reasonable entry-level cost. I've tried to do it, but it just is very, very difficult to do. So this year, I am totally pursuing my higher end, made-to-order, customized, special occasion plus special occasion business. Now, I started with the special occasion business last year. I started by going to some bride shows that were live. And of course, when COVID came around, we could no longer do those. So I've been participating in online showcases. The bridal promoter promotes them. There is a host. It's like a great show. Each vendor who's there has about a 3-minute promo piece that they are allowed to show, and we can get help on producing those if needed. And we go live on YouTube chat. So there's a chat there, so we can talk with everybody. And then our host will come to the vendors and talk to each of the vendors so that the people in the audience will also get to know us a little bit. One of the most successful things I have done by being part of these shows is build my newsletter list. Now, many of you will probably say, well, why not social media and so on? I think if you have a product that has an entry-level, reasonable price, you probably can do a lot with social media. But what I've noticed a lot is Facebook seems to just change its algorithms constantly. So once you kind of try to crack the code on who you're trying to get to, they change everything up. And now that they own Instagram, that happens on Instagram as well. And what I've also noticed as a small solopreneur is that I don't get any business from either of those two platforms. Now, if you do, that's great. And I'd really like to know what it is you're doing that I'm not doing that allows you to get those customers. But to be honest, people are not going to buy shoes at $250 that are made to order, generally through a Facebook ad online. So one of the key things that I've done is I've tried to use my newsletter because this is a way for people to get to know me. And that has been a really interesting thing for me, and it's been a really useful thing for me. So what I did was I decided that I would do only a monthly newsletter. I don't want to bombard my audience with constant emails, but I would like them to know what I'm up to. I knew that I would have a fairly limited group of people, so I don't have a huge group of people, meaning hundreds of thousands of people, or even tens of thousands of people. And I wanted to use a format that felt intimate and familiar. We're going to talk more about branding and things in a little bit, but these are some of the things that I thought would be very interesting for me to share with you. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to stop sharing one screen and I'm going to share another, because what I would like to do is I'd like to show you sort of what I am doing as we move. Now, again, this is the first time doing this, but I'm going to show you what I have here, which is Tiny Letter. So I'm just going to sign into my Tiny Letter format, and I'm hoping that you're seeing this as we're going live. Again, I'm learning a lot about what to do with Restream, and I again will make a comment about that shortly. So one of the things you can see here, that this is a very, very standard and very easy pared down kind of platform. And so what I do is it's nice because it tells me how many recipients I have. And I just want you all to know that when I started pre-bridal, I had about 50 recipients. And over the past 6 months or so, I've grown it up to, a solid 1177. I have 1373 subscribers, which is pretty good. The reason is I've just uploaded some new subscribers and they haven't received my newsletter yet. Now, with my newsletter, I have written it already. And so it's in my drafts. And here it is moving along. And I just wanted to kind of show you how very simple the formatting is. It's really easy. It doesn't take any time. There's, I tried to use some imagery. I don't use a whole lot. This week, since I have just launched this particular format, I wanted to share that with everybody and that they could see my new marketing plan just so that they would understand. Also, when I was in the showcase, I was asked to talk about what it would be like to have a collaboration with me or wedding shoes. And so I discussed that. Now, this is really important for you guys to all remember, because at this point, what is totally important is this. It used to be that we all had to be content makers. And so this is what drove everything on social media, all the pictures on Instagram, all the every day, 3-4 times a day, posting to all these platforms. And that's a really tough thing to do when you're a solopreneur. It's also something that I don't think gives you as a business person bang for the buck. And what it does, it makes everybody competing with everybody else in order for us all to be seen above the fray. And one of the interesting things about that I think is an interesting thing to talk about is that we have influencers who often are paid people to get the word out. And some of the most interesting things about that over the pandemic have been that many of the influencers have found out that they don't actually like being influencers. And they also do not, it makes a great living for them, but they don't enjoy what they're doing. So one of the reasons I started this particular shoe business, and it's one of many that I've had, is because I wanted to enjoy what I do. And what I enjoy doing is making shoes. I enjoy running a business, and I enjoy speaking with you. So what I want to talk about here is where I think we are is it's not about content. It's about having quality content that you can repurpose into a variety of platforms and post to a variety of places so that you can hit different audiences, but it's the same product that you've got. So for example, what I did was now I have my message in my tiny letter, and I'm not going to hit send just yet because I am going to add a couple more photos to it. But because I covered what I was doing and what it would be like to collaborate with me, okay, in order to make your own shoes, I now created content that I can also use on my page with NewJerseyWedding.com. And so here I have my own little listing and my own little account. And one of the things that I haven't done for a while is that I haven't written an article. So you see, I have an opportunity to write an article here. And what I need to do is I need to write my member article and get it up here so that I can refresh what's going on here and have people come find me on njwedding.com. Okay, so let me also talk about having a listing on that platform. Here's one of the things that I think you guys could most do or do very well. You create your marketing budget. And I do everything pretty much on a shoestring. I don't spend a lot of money in marketing. I was spending for some Facebook ads. I do have to spend to be part of the showcases. But again, they bring me the customer lists that are fairly important. The listing that I have on NJ Wedding costs money. I also was on New Jersey Brides. What I was able to do because of my wedding connections was really watch NewJerseyWedding.com. And around the end of the year, they offered an incredibly great discount. So I was able to get a much more robust listing for the year for not a whole lot of money. One of the key things that I learned is that if you can purchase things for the year, you often will get an additional discount. And sometimes you can purchase for the year, but still pay monthly. So that's always a way to look at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bit here about a collaborative journey, and I'm going to, sorry about that, I'm going to copy it, and I am going to take it over to NJ Wedding and do a member article. Okay, and so the article title is Creating Customized Shoes. Now, why do I do this? Again, if you didn't join me last week, it's important to understand the difference between made to order and totally custom in the shoe world. Totally custom would mean that you had a custom last made specifically for your foot. Okay, so I'm going to just add in here what I wrote about, and I'm going to do some hashtags here. So hashtag bridal, hashtag special occasion, special occasions, hashtag made to order, hashtag shoes. Okay, so I've got that here, and I've got these all put into my space. Okay, now I haven't uploaded a picture yet, so I think what I might do is I'll just go into my RoxAnneLava, and I'll go into, let's see, I'm sure that I can find some bridal. Let me see, I had a lookbook, so I'll just go into my lookbook, I think. Maybe not. Let me just see what I've got here for folded. Yeah, that's not a good one. I didn't realize I needed this one, so I didn't grab it for you. But let me look at my lookbook. And maybe what I will do is I'll grab this one. And we'll hit open. And we'll save changes. And so now what I've done, just so you know, is I've taken material for another item and I've created another use for that product. So writing once, but posting a number of times. Now I will also, I'm going to say no right here because I think I want to change that photo. But what I'd also like to tell you is that I often also make sure, because I have this option in Tiny Letter, that my my newsletter is publicly published. And I very often will also take my newsletter and put it into my personal blog on my RoxAnneLava site. Now, what I wanted to show you guys is from last week, what I did was I took my Monday mission, and this is my blog, and I wrote about what I did, and I talked about what I discussed. And now I have this, and you can go and you can see on YouTube on my playlist, you can start to follow every week what I do with these. So it's really important for me that you see this. I hope that you're seeing it. And again, I'm learning with Restream, so maybe you're not. I'll go back. One of the things I'll do tomorrow morning is I'll go back, or later today, and I'll look through this stream and I'll make notes so that next time when I'm broadcasting, I start to pull it all together. I thought I had it, but I didn't with one of my items, so I guess we'll see. Okay, so let me also tell you another thing that I sometimes do. So I did a series for my personal blog post, and that series was, and still is, about people and their love for shoes. So what I would do is I would meet them on Zoom. I would interview them on Zoom. I didn't want to use the video though. So what I did was I would take what they said and run it through a product called Otter. That would take the script out. So whatever they had said, I would now have in letter format, written format. And I was able to edit it and use that with a photo as their blog post. But then what I would do is I would take the audio only and I would put it onto my podcast site called Kindred Souls. And that's certainly something I could maybe do with this, but this is a whole different plan for me. So February 1st, what I did, again, just to recap, what I'm doing this year is I'm trying to really focus my media and my marketing plan on my made-to-order and customized shoes. This journey is one that anybody who's here can take with me, and it will be tremendous. And what I would like to say is that as part of this journey, you guys will learn from me not just about shoes, but also about my journey as a solopreneur. So today's task, because it's February 1st and it's a Monday and my mission is marketing, is that I want to get my newsletter up. I want to get my NJ Wedding blog posted. So those are two things that I need to get off my list. The third thing that I need to do is that when I was in the showcase last week, I offered a free bridal shoe package to somebody who was selected randomly. So today I'm trying to put that package together so that we can get it out to my winner. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen. That was the wrong thing. I'm going to come back to you, and I am going to show you now about branding and what I do in terms of the package. So I thought a lot about what I would like to give to somebody. And again, let's just think about it in terms of this. Generally, the person I'm sending this to is a bride. And so the bride is not necessarily ready to right away start working with me on her shoes, because very often she's somebody who's just gotten engaged. And of course, during the COVID times, weddings have been kind of strange and wonky. But I want to send her something that connects with her, that gives her a little appeal, that gets her sort of into the mood, or something to think about. So it's also true. It's the first step of what I do with anybody who orders a collaborative package with me. So I thought about this for a long time, and I decided, well, why don't we start? Because the first thing that I need somebody to do is actually to measure their foot. And so I thought that one of the best things for me to do was to think about, what would you like to do before you measure your feet? And I think that one of the things people might like to do is have a pedi, particularly if they were coming to me and I was going to measure their feet, right? You'd like your feet to probably be in good condition. So I thought, well, how could I kind of sort of adapt that to what I do? So I decided, why not make a foot scrub? So I looked around, these are fairly easy things to think about. And I found one that I really liked that was coffee and sugar. And the recipe used coconut oil. Now, I've had some of these homemade scrubs from friends before, and I've found that there are a couple problems with them. Sometimes they're not, the oil, I didn't want the oil sitting around, the oil goes bad, or you put in too much. So I was able to find some coconut oil that, interestingly, is not always liquid. So it's coffee, raw sugar, and coconut oil that I put together into a foot scrub. And here's how I package that. So the other thing that I found were these shot-sized ball glasses. They're not the Ball brand. But I thought this was a really nice size for a nice pedicure. Now, the second thing that happens with a scrub is that you don't always want this going down your shower drain. So I happen to also have some coffee filters, and I happen to have a lot of them. Don't ask. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to package 2 coffee filters with the scrub. And the reason that I'm going to do that is that what we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to instruct the recipient to put this in their shower drain before they rinse the scrub. Hey, Neil, how are you? Glad to see you. I'm just talking about packaging a gift for somebody who won a free bridal package from me. And so we're going to talk about the branding and how this fits in with my product. So I've got the scrub that I made. I've got it in this jar that I've carefully chosen, right? I think my customer will really like it. Plus it gives it a nice size quantity. And it's a nice reusable jar as well. And then I'm going to give these 2 coffee filters with it. And what I will do is, because I like to make everything very personal, I like to handwrite my messages to my clients or potential clients. So what I will do is, before I put this all together and wrap it all up, I will write in here, use these 2 in your drain so that you can collect and capture the scrub and it won't go down your drain. I'll put that in a nice way. And that will be the first part of what goes to my bride. Now, I also like to give a whole bunch of other information and things to them. And again, I was saying we were working on a pedicure. So I also have gone out and purchased some small nail polishes in colors that I like. And so as part of this gift, I've selected one color for this particular bride, and this will become part of the gift as well. So you have the foot scrub, you have the toenail polish. I then like to give a bunch of sort of giveaways. So again, I want to talk about these because these are 2 things that are very, very easy for you to have made. And I want to talk particularly about this one. So this one is a button that says "Be Badass and Beautiful" in RoxAnneLava. So this was really important marketing piece for me. These buttons are very relatively inexpensive. They're easy to take places and hand out. When I first started doing my bridal shows, one of the things that was really difficult for me was that I have a few samples. They tend to be neutral in color because brides are wearing neutrals. And they are relatively small because they are shoes. And you guys have seen my shoes are not super big, right? So what happens is you are in a space, country club, whatever, but I'm competing against video people, cake tastings, food, people with like big, big, big and colorful displays. And so it was really sort of hard for me to shout and shine amongst them. This button was the best because people who would be walking past my table, I'd just have these in my hand and I'd start handing them out. And the fact that it said "Be Badass and Beautiful" was a showstopper and a conversation starter. So that was really great because, and this could go to anybody. Predominantly, it's women that are there, and it's predominantly women with their bridesmaids or entourage or their moms. But there are also men that are there. And, while this looks kind of girly, there were enough men who were interested in this as well. So if you can find something that will be a conversation starter, I think this is a terrific way to do it. And again, low cost. I buy them in bulk. I can also give them out for, a number of things. If I were to do a class, I can give them out. If I was to go to a school and talk about something or do a chat, which I often do, these can go to everybody. They're a giveaway and they're a great branding opportunity. So that's one thing that I think is a really great thing. It's also fantastic because it goes into this gift. And I'm sure that my person who is receiving them, my client, my potential client, will be really happy to have it. The next thing that I also do is I've done some work through Shutterfly. And Shutterfly, and I'll give a plug for this. The company that I get these done from is called Sticker Mule. And I, of course, love that because I make mules. So the connection between the mule and the sticker mule is really fun for me. So it's something that works for me and again, pleases me and makes me happy. But they're great business, and I have something else from them that I'm going to show you in a second. So I do a lot of work with Shutterfly, and what I've done with Shutterfly is I've made several books. And one of those books was a bridal-based book, and it has a lot of photography that I've done of my shoes for the bride and special occasion. So this is one of the photos that I did as a special occasion promo. And when I buy from Shutterfly, here's a few things that you should know. One is these books, you will often get an offer for a free book every quarter, every half year. Usually whenever they're having a sale, you might, if you are a customer, get an offer for free books. So I've had 3 of them. And why these books are so good is because they're relatively pretty books. They're a great way for you to collect your imagery. And if you are doing a physical show, they're a great thing to have to kind of show off what you do. So that is one thing I would say about them. The other thing is that very often they offer you free tchotchkes. So these are magnets. So every once in a while, I might get an offer of like 4 magnets for free. I have to pay for the shipping. So it's not 4 magnets, it's probably like 8 magnets. Sometimes they do luggage holders. Sometimes they do, like, you can get 1 mug or you can get 2 of this. So, but when you get them, you're getting them at a pretty good deal in terms of promo items, so that they're easy for you to have as a giveaway for people. And there's something, I try to choose things. So the magnet is something people probably put on their fridge or in their office. And although it does not have my name on it, it's unique image. So it will remind them of what I am doing. So this is one that's not as brash with your brand. Many of you may feel weird about that. But so this is another gift that will go in for my new client. Now also what I do, and I use either, Vistaprint, Shutterfly, or Moo to have cards made. And I don't remember which one this is, to be honest. But I have a bunch of cards, and these are multi-cards, so they're probably Moo. Moo is great because it will allow you to take more than one of your photos. Like you can have 10 different photo fronts in the same back. So what I do is I get some of my photographs of my shoes, and then again, I'm going to make a handwritten note to the person receiving my free gift. I like to do these handwritten things. It just works for me. If you want to do it a different way, that's okay. I also like the postcard because it's easy to stick into any kind of bag. It has a photo on it of my work, so it's also something you could keep and post if you wanted to. And the other thing about it is I like a good postcard because if I'm just trying to send something out to people, if I wanted to do something like an invite, I could do a label that had all the information on it, stick it right onto the number of postcards that I need and ship them out. Or I can write a handwritten, I knit a lot too, so written and knitting. Okay, so I could also handwrite a thank you to somebody who's purchased from me. And I like the use of the postcard because the postage is less expensive. Okay, so that's going to go in there. I also need to give some information to my potential clients. And so I do have one that is for the bride. And it has basic information about my shoes on the front with a little bit of imagery, right, of what you can get. And then it has more specific information about the packages that I offer on the back. So this is a good way to start to understand about what my business is about. Now, there's a few things here that I do want to tell you. These are cautions for you. When you're having these made up, depending on how many you're ordering, think about if you want to put your price on or not. Because if you're going to change your prices or they need to go up, or if you're at a stage in your business where you're trying to still figure out what's the right price, if you have a whole bunch of these, that could be a problem. So consider that. The second thing is find somebody, not you, to proofread your copy, because I can guarantee you, having made these kinds of marketing pieces for decades, it doesn't matter how many times you run spell check, grammar check, you'll still miss something. So it is important to make sure that you have somebody with fresh eyes actually read what you've written and make sure that it is understandable and also grammatically and spelling wise correct. The other thing I think that's true to consider as you're preparing these pieces is that you, as a maker, or if you're not a maker, but you're just somebody who has a passion, or you have a store or something who happens to be watching, whatever you do, you know really well. But the person who is talking to you or listening to you or watching you or reading about you does not know that whatever really well. So you have to make sure that you're also explaining it in a way that they understand. Now, two other things that are really important to me in my business is made to order. Made to order isn't just because it gets to let me work with somebody on something. It's also that, you see, your client is invested in a made to order item. So they have a different relationship with that item than they do with an item that they've just purchased off the rack somewhere. And generally, when you, and you may think about this too, have a relationship with a particular garment or shoes or handbag or, and I don't mean to be, it could be a computer bag, a backpack, something that you use all the time. You generally like to wear those things or carry those things or have those things displayed proudly. You are going to keep them for a long time. So you aren't just likely to take it to a consignment shop or thrift shop or give it away or throw it away if you have some real connection to it. Okay, so that's one way that it's sustainable. The other way that it's sustainable is because it was made to your specifications in a made to order world, it creates minimal waste because you've told me, I want that leather. So I buy that leather and we use that leather, or I want that fabric. So I buy enough of that fabric just to make your piece. I don't have to buy a lot of extra. So, if I have a client who wants bubblegum pink shoes, I can buy just enough or a smallish amount of bubblegum pink to make those shoes, or find a way to create bubblegum pink that is enough for that pair of shoes, but doesn't need to have 200 other pair of bubblegum pink shoes made in order for me to be efficient with that material. So that's the second thing that's really important. It minimizes purchasing and waste. The other thing that's really interesting about a made to order business is that it actually creates jobs, because made to order is a skilled process. So you have to practice and get good at it. And so if I was to manufacture shoes, made to order shoes, I would be able to bring on people, teach them how to do it, and employ them to do it. And because it is a skilled situation, it's going to be something that commands a living wage. So that's very important, because you have to have quality in terms of the skills. Now, I also want to say that, let's not forget that in the system, there are also other players. It's not just the people making the shoes. There are people who are delivering the shoes, etc. And we'll talk about that in terms of me in just a minute, because this is all going to go out through a delivery service, right? The other thing is that made to order is special and unique, so you have less stuff of higher quality. You're investing in yourself, you're investing in artisans, and generally, or hopefully, your local community, because there are probably a lot of makers in your local community, so you can do that. All of those things I've put onto a front of a card. The other thing that's really important to me is transparency in my pricing. I think one of the hardest things about being a maker is that a lot of times your audience doesn't really understand what goes into the making. And so they don't really understand why things are so expensive. So for me, what I've done is I have told people essentially what the materials, the labor, and the overhead are. So I tell them how much the materials cost. In general, for me, leather shoes, $50 of materials per pair, okay? It takes from 5 to 8 hours to make one pair of shoes. It requires some skilled labor. So if I was paying anybody a skilled wage, it would never be less than $15 an hour. And let me just say that now that we're talking about that as being a minimum wage, I would really have to rethink that. Okay. To me, my preference would be that I would be paying people $20 to $25 an hour to do this. So if we even just talk about retail pricing conventionally, that means that you double your cost. So for me, what I just gave you would be at 5 hours with $50 and $15 per hour, $125 would be the cost to make a pair of shoes. So we would double it and we would get to the $250. Now, this is where the problem comes in, because many people look at a maker and say, yeah, but you work at home and, you're multitasking while you're doing it and yada, yada, yada. Okay. Here's the thing. Here's what that $125 covers. It covers whatever costs it is for my facilities. Yes, I'm in my basement, but I have lights on. I have computer going. I have heat going. I have cooling going. There's a number of things that if I didn't have a business going on in my basement, wouldn't be happening here in terms of the facilities cost and those kinds of things. There might be staff or subcontractor costs. So I could maybe farm out my social media to somebody. I don't, but that is one of the things that extra $125 could cover. Certainly marketing costs are covered by that $125. There are professional fees. I might need an accountant or a lawyer for some reason for various things. I might need a photographer. I might need a license. I work with Galloway Township in New Jersey, and I happen to work with the township. I have to have a license there, which is a New Jersey license. I had to renew it this year. Last year, I had to get it. So these things are very important, and they're part of it. Now, let's not also forget packing and shipping supplies. And then if I'm doing live shows, there's display decor, there's web maintenance, there's website owning, there's money for me to live. And most importantly, what comes out of that money is a reserve so that I can grow. If my business can't grow, if I don't have money when I need it on hand so that I can get money to make the next pair of shoes or have money to take advantage of the next opportunity, my business can't grow. Okay. So I also put all of that here on another card, and that's another important piece of information that will go to my winner. All right. So let me just show you that what I do is I have these lovely white boxes. Okay. It's a white box from Uline. Now, here's the thing. I can't find the whole pile of them in my studio, but I've got this one and that's all I need right now. So I was just thinking I might start remaking boxes out of other boxes because I like to be about reuse and recycle. Okay. But anyway, I have this nice little white box. And my color that I use as my accent color is orange. So I have orange tissue paper. So what will happen is the scrub, the nail polish, and little gifties will all go into this box with this tissue paper. Then what I will do, so these are some other stickers that I get. And this sticker will close up the box. So again, this is either from Vistaprint, Sticker Mule, Shutterfly. I don't remember which one, to be honest. Okay. But I like these little stickers. They're good because you can write on them. If I have shoes that are sample shoes, I can put the size on them with this sticker. So these are things, again, carrying through with my brand. Then from Sticker Mule, they had a great deal for these plastic envelopes. So I got a bunch of these. Now, why I got a bunch of these was because if I'm teaching a class live, I put all the supplies in this bag with the student name on them. But I also use them for branding purposes. And so when I'm sending something to somebody, I will put them in this bag. And then here's what I do. I signed up for a click and ship account with the post office. They will send me for free a variety of packaging. I like to use and try most of the time to use this padded envelope priority mail. Now, when the post office is running great, this is a 2-day delivery item. But whether or not it's running great, I can track it. So very simply, what happens to me is the post office will deliver. I can order these. They're free. They come to my house. I have some other sizes as well, but this is the predominant thing that I use, and it's the padded envelope. And so what I do is I go onto my post office site and I do click and ship. And what I love about this is the size of this package is always the same. It doesn't matter what's inside it. Doesn't matter how much it weighs. I don't have to deal with anything. It's $8.85 for me to send this package 2-day delivery. And I can print out my own shipping label here and have my own receipt for it. And when I am doing this, when I'm getting this all put together, what I can also do is I can sign up so that I can track that package so that I know where it is for my client. And that way I can see when the client has gotten it. And then I can email again and say, hey, the post office said that you got it. Did you get it? What did you think? Any questions about that? Okay. So I just want to take a second to recap from what we talked about today, because I think solopreneur marketing is something that is really important to think about. So just as a reminder, we started with the fact that not only is today Monday and we had to do the Monday mission, but my Monday mission, because it's the 1st of February, has several things that I need to do. First being my newsletter. So again, for my newsletter, I develop my newsletter and send it once a month. I don't always send it on the 1st of the month, but I do try to send it on the 1st of the month. It's homey. It's very me. It's relatively short, but it tells everybody what's going on. And as you will remember, I use Tiny Letter. Tiny Letter has since been purchased by MailChimp, but you can still use Tiny Letter up to 5,000 people. Now to recap my mailing list, remember I chose an email newsletter because I have a high-end made-to-order item. So I did not find, after a year of really going all in on Facebook and Instagram, that I was reaching the people I wanted to reach. However, because I do the bridal showcases, I add to my mailing list each time from the people who go to those showcases. And my newsletter has grown from 49 people when I first started to over 1,300 people today. So that is a great way to get to them. Now, you know that just because I have 1,300 people in my newsletter, it doesn't mean that 1,300 people will open my newsletter. It doesn't mean that they'll click through. So those rates are things that you need to look at and consider. In general, I get about 200 to 300 people opening my newsletter, and then my click-through is lower. But what I will say is the fact that 200 to 300 people out of 1,300 are opening my newsletter is not bad. Pretty good deal. Okay. The second thing that I want you all to remember is that when you are creating any kind of content, you want to create it in a way that you can have multiple uses. So you might remember earlier in the segment, we talked about how one of the things that I was asked to talk about on the bridal showcase that I was on this past week was what the process is in getting your custom made to order shoes with me. So I went through that in my newsletter, but I've also copied and pasted that, and I'm going to go over to my listing on NewJerseyBride.com and add that as an article. And because that will be a new article, it will refresh people coming to that site and get me up on the top of the list so that they'll start to see me and they'll come over and check out my listing on njweddings.com. I also told you that one of the things that I sometimes do is I interview people, and I do that on Zoom. I run the video through a product called Otter, which gives me the written editable script. I can then pull out from that what I'd like for a blog post on my own personal blog, my RoxAnneLava site. And I can also use the audio for my podcast. So again, it's repurposing. What I finally showed you about last week's show was that I wrote a personal blog about what we covered on last week's show. And I will do that again. And then I directed people to the restream of this on my YouTube channel playlist. So again, repurposing, not reinventing the wheel. And then the last thing that we talked about was this gift that I'm putting together for a winner from the bridal show, and how to think through what that gift should be that will be memorable, tied to whatever it is they have won, and also tied to you. So those are all ways for you as a solopreneur to try to work through your marketing. Lastly, I will say you want to do a marketing schedule. So what I try to do is break it down every week as to what I'm going to do. I don't look at it so much as dates. I look at it more like the first Monday of the month. And that's what I mean. I don't always send out my newsletter on February 1st or the first of the month. I always try to send my newsletter out on the first Monday of the month. And so because this is a Monday mission and it's February 1st and I need to do a newsletter, it all just happened to be on the first of the month, but it's not always on the first of the month. I try to do every second week to do something, every third week to do something, every fourth week to do something. I also think you want to really consider, for example, Monday Mission, right, is something that I show you live. Now, what will happen is after we're done, I need to complete these missions. This is what I need to do for the week. So as I complete them, I will use my Instagram to show the steps or the process or the completion of something. And it could be even just me doing a checklist, could be a short video, whatever. But I now use Instagram to actually do the follow-up from what I show on Mondays. So on Monday, we go live through my Facebook Live channel and through my YouTube channel. And then the follow-up during the week for that project happens through Instagram. So again, it's choosing and strategically learning everything. I mean, using the tools that you have in a way that makes sense and allows you to do the business part of your job, the business admin part of your job, along with the making part of your job, or the operational part of your job if you're not a maker. So I want to thank you for joining me today. I don't know if you have any questions. Neil, I know you're here. Any questions or comments? Well, okay, I'm not seeing anything coming from Neil. So I'd like to thank you all for joining me. And this time I think I got a good deal with the restream coming in the overlay. So I'm excited about that, but I don't think that my opening video showed. So again, I have to go back and check on the restream. I'm going to leave you with this thought. You learn by doing. And what I will tell you is one of the keys to my success is I have never been afraid to jump in with both feet and work it out as I go along. So don't ever wait for that particular moment when everything is great and everything is perfect. If I waited until I was a master of using this restream tool, I might miss out on several months of this opportunity to connect with you all. Thanks, Neil. I'm glad that you found some good nuggets there. And I look forward to seeing you soon. And everybody, again, just do it. Nike had it right. Just give it a try. Eventually, I'll crack the restream code and we'll all be really good at it and it'll become more seamless and it'll be better. But it doesn't mean that the content that you have to give isn't valuable. So don't spend too much time worrying about if it's perfect. Get it out there and learn from what you've done. Have a great week, and I will see you for next Monday's mission. Be careful out there.